I'm here interviewing the one and only Adele. I did this myself, by the way. I just finished emailing Columbia and I said, can we get the key art for Adele 30?
Oh my God, so much effort. Thank you.
You're welcome. For you, anything.
Oh, thank you.
How are you in this process now of shouting from the rooftops about the record? Are you still energized? Are you tired? Where are you in this? I
definitely feel like I've been asked the same questions a lot. So I'm getting sick and tired of my own voice, you know, and sort of, it's sometimes I feel like I'm having to sort of remove myself from my answers a little bit just so I don't sort of like, you know, get frustrated with that. But I'm so excited and relieved. I don't know if you ever feel like this with any of your records. Like, I'm just excited it's coming out. Like, normally I get a little bit nervous and stuff like that, you know, or like, oh, can we just wait a little bit longer? And I'm just, obviously because of 2020 as well, you know, because I would have finished my record and put it out and stuff like that. But I'm just so excited to get it out because also, you know, what it's about, I've moved on from. So
well, that's what I want to talk to you about. So it's a document, but it might not necessarily be a document of you at this very moment. So yeah, I do know the feeling of just being understood, regardless of how the record does, which I'm sure it's going to do incredible. There's this moment, and these must feel like your final moments before you are understood in a way that you haven't been by the world. So what's that like to speak so loudly and broadly about something you don't quite feel anymore, but felt and want to honor? Is it difficult to call that back up and so broadly and widely?
No, actually. And I was thinking about this the other day because obviously, you know, I wanted it to come out last year, but I'm so calm now at this point in my life. And I have made so much progress from, you know, when it probably would have come out last year to now that maybe actually I wasn't ready for it to come out last year. Yeah. I might not have been in such a sort of healthy place. You know, so that I'm actually now grateful for. But also, like, I'm so proud of myself for how I handled, you know, the last few years of my life. And that's normally, it's not how I handle things. Not that I've been through, you know, a divorce and stuff like that before, but just I run away a lot, you know, and I couldn't run away from this, you know, and I really did show up for myself like I've never done before. So that's how I'm, you know, I want to be respectful to the album and, like, you know, talk about it and sing about it and, you know, perform it and stuff like that with so much sort of intent and grace for it, because it really was important for me to make and was a big part of my process of getting to the sort of state of mind I'm in now. So
they asked me, would I interview you? And I always respond to these sort of request emails with sort of like, pass, but tell them I love them, you know, pass with love, pass with respect. And I wrote in all caps, absolutely. It's the only thing I wrote, and I replied with that. And I found out yesterday that we were going to do this. And I asked for the album and I asked for all the materials. So I was like, I'm going to do the research, you know. And I woke up this morning and I had the album download and I was going to look at everything else after that. And after listening to the album, I got a cup of coffee, I put it on the coffee table and it went cold as I listened to the album. And I was absolutely stunned by it. And I thought to myself, thank God I don't have to muster up ways to describe how much I love this record. I just get to tell her how much I love this record. It's stunningly revealing. I can tell you so many things about it. It just knocked me out. And I sat there and I went, how does someone bring themselves to get this revealing in 2021? To get this. And I thought, it's almost like Adele from the first 3 albums gets off the stage, pulls you by the hand and says, you want to come hang out on the patio with me? I want to tell you how it really is. And it's like you're stepping off the stage and you're explaining this exquisite kind of sadness that you've gone through while still maintaining musicality. So it's not like we get dragged down. We just get brought through this journey. And it's so revealing. And the thing I wanted to talk about as a songwriter, this is obviously about one person. It can only be about one person. And yet they're not in the picture. Did you purposely sort of write these songs? What they're really about is what's left when someone leaves, not so much the arc of what the person is doing. You're not really talking to the him. There's no him, is there? It's sort of what you're left with.
Yes, and I was pretty much only left with myself, you know, and I think being older now, and obviously like I've sort of have become this artist that seems to write all about my relationships, but I hadn't really written a record about my relationship with myself because I didn't really have one before. And, you know, I realised, you know, my world does fall apart every time, you know, that a sort of romantic thing goes wrong and stuff like that. This was very different because, you know, we had a child and stuff like that. But I really did realise that I'm always just left with myself. Mm-hmm. And so I really wanted to sort of work out why do I always end up just with me and stuff like that. And there was so many like roads I had to go down to find out. Like, you know, it was literally like sort of doing an ancestry search, but on myself, like, you know, and I realised a lot of things about myself that I didn't like. You know, and traits and patterns and stuff that actually weren't mine. It was that I was just mirroring other people from the past or like inheriting patterns from like, you know, from people in my family. And it was so much work to do. And I don't think I ever could be bothered before. Like, you know, and I when I was younger, but also I don't really think it comes into your atmosphere when you're younger either, that you might be the issue.
Well, you know, but, yeah, well, and this sounds like some highly professional work you did with someone else. Did you do this work did someone else sort of lead you through this? Like a therapist?
I had a therapist, but I've been in and out of therapy since I was a child.
Got it.
And more than anything, it was, I spent a lot of time on my own. Right. You know, I really spent a lot of time on my own, and I had loads of amazing conversations with my friends and stuff like that. But also would just search for anything that made me feel better. Or, you know, or that gave me insight into myself. And for sure, this album really helped. Like, you know, it really, really, really did. Like, I feel like I really lost my connection with music. I don't know if it's because of how successful it had become. You know, it was no longer my hobby.
Yeah. We all go through that. Yep.
So that was really, really hard for me. Like, I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to write, like, for fun. Like, you know, because it just felt like I was working. But yeah, I feel like when I first started writing what is now this record, it felt so safe to me. You know, it really, really did. So I think that really did help big time.
You were also safe in a way by the pandemic. I mean, you were isolated anyway. Did it help you to already be physically isolated to go, I might as well do the work now? No, because I felt at the time, you know, in the past, I felt like I was isolated against my will, you know, whereas this time I was doing it on purpose. Here's what's fascinating to me. I went through my stuff. Everybody grows up and goes through their stuff. That catalytic moment where you realize I'm breaking, because what you're talking about, I think, is breaking chains. I'm breaking these I don't want these hand-me-downs. I don't want these things implanted into me because I saw them and I heard them and this is what I think I should be. And everybody goes through that. And everybody goes through that conversion of sort of coming online to figuring it all out. The sad part is that once you figure it out, you're in the middle of it. Time. Yes. You figure it out. It's like someone coming up to you and going like, you get how the game is played now? And you go, I do. And they go, great. You're down 7-0.
Yeah, exactly.
I just figured it out, and we can't start again. And you go, no, you can't start again. I
definitely felt like once I walked through the door, you know, I couldn't come out until it was out the other end.
That's right.
And you get bloody stuck in it. So it's my son. I'll be out soon.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's definitely how I felt, for sure.
By the way, I've always wanted someone in my life I had to tell to leave the room. I'm talking to friends of mine now who have children, and in the middle of conversations, they go, what? Okay, I see that, but I'll be with you in a moment. Okay, go show it to mom. Sorry about that. It just looks like the best thing ever. The thing that I wanted to say though is that I sort of look to you as like, wow, I want to sort of be her. She is a superstar. She moved out of the sort of the limelight and the craziness, and I'm stuck in the craziness. And wow, she just jumped the line and had it figured out. And to say nothing, I'm not saying that I wished anything on you. To me, I now go, all right, everyone's got to go through this. Mm-hmm. It's just at what point, you know? And I meet younger people now and I go, wait, you're 23? And they go, I'm 23. And I go, and you have this point of view on the world? And I think they're perfect. And I still go, you should probably just freak out now because you're going to freak out at some point.
Yeah.
You might as well do it earlier. And so we all have to go through this moment of that conversion of, oh, I got it. And for me, that was a little earlier ago, and I go, got it. And what we do is sort of just welcome other people to it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, very much. And also, you stop judging other people as well.
I was just going to say, your level of grace for other people while they go through stuff is directly related to what you know you had to go through. Yeah. So this is why 44-year-olds, 30-year-olds don't rip on people online because we go, it's tough out there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough out there. And so you sort of have to wait for people to figure it out.
Absolutely.
I was listening to the record today, and the song My Little Love, is this one of these songs you're waiting for people to hear? Because when I heard it, I went, I've never heard a song like this. I've never heard a song go this deep. Do you have a special focus on this song?
I don't know yet. I don't know. Because I also don't want, I'm very thick-skinned. Like, I can read anything about myself and be fine. But I also, I really do, it's such a big part of my life, this record, that I don't want other people's opinions on it in any way interfering with my opinions of it.
So no reading reviews on the night the record comes out?
I don't know for sure yet.
I understand.
But I might, but my instinct is telling me that this is my album.
That's right. Well,
even though I'm giving it to everyone.
That's right. Well, it sure would be nice if I could do that as well. keep that sterility.
Yeah.
But okay, so what are the chances now that you would go on Twitter and look at tweets about the record?
Oh, I thought that's what you meant.
No, that or well, is there a difference for you between reading reviews and reading tweets, or is it all sort of the same thing?
I like reading like a broadsheet review or something like that in my hands,
right?
But no, I mean, I think everyone's opinion is basically reviewed this day and age, isn't it? So
yeah, that's right. That's right. It's incredible. So this break in between writing this record and putting it out is sort of your saving grace because it's the moat between you now and you then. So you're sort of talking about a third. Is there a part of this that you're sort of talking about a different person because you're so different now?
I would say so. I mean, there's lots of elements, where I'm still exactly the same and, my thought process about things is exactly the same. But I was like, having, really dug my past up and my childhood and stuff like that. Like, I was definitely like a lot of bravado, I think, like, in my personality and stuff like that. And obviously you have to put on a bravado when you're doing what we do, because otherwise you're just going to bloody like melt into a little puddle. But I'm not like that anymore. Like, I will immediately be like, I'll say sorry if I need to immediately. I will backtrack and clear up what I just said, but what I meant to say. Like, I don't need someone to say to me 2 weeks later, like, you're a or like anything like that. It's very in the moment, which then I wasn't, and I definitely think that comes across on the record, where like it's the track list is real time, but it's a bit whiplashy.
Pardon me, sorry, I didn't mean real time chronologically what you went through. Yeah. So this is a journal in real time. Yeah. And that's why it ends on a high note like it does.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it starts, sad with the first sort of three, and then it sort of goes through this. My girlfriends have managed to get me out of the house. And
I was just going to say,
we're going out and stuff like that, and then you get to I Drink Wine, which is where I'm suddenly like asking myself all these questions. So it's sort of like I'm recentering and focusing again. So I definitely think the sort of when you're in, oh my God, and can I get it, and then you suddenly go into I Drink Wine. It's like. Sort of like, she's arrived. She's arriving.
Yes. It to me, it reminds me of a great superhero arc where you're Superwoman, Superman, what have you. And right around this point in your arc, you lose your powers for a minute. It's every great hero arc has the moment where the hero thinks of hanging up the cape. Yeah. Where Clark Kent has to deal with the fact that he, not to get too far into the canon of Superman, but it's any great hero arc has this moment of questioning your powers, of questioning where you came from, right? And by the end of it, you put the cape back on. And I was listening for that. I go, I wonder if she does that. And the last song, camera pans up and you're back on top of the building with your cape blowing in the wind. And I go, What a genius. What a genius thing. And I want people to understand something, because myself as a consumer, when I read and hear about an artist going deep, being confessional, I say to myself, well, won't that be boring? But what I want people to understand is that the musicality underneath these brutal lyrics is really exquisite. It's really beautiful. You can sort of work this record in layers. If you want to break the lyrics down, you'll be on the floor crying. Mm-hmm. I believe there will be an Adele 30 TikTok challenge of try not to cry during, what is it, track 3, I think. Which one is it? My Little Love.
Yeah.
I can't make it through without crying.
I found so far that song affects men more.
Really?
Yeah. And I think, it's my male friends that have like really, really cried and been like, I've never thought of who my mum is outside of being my mum, like, you know, and you know, like, you know, most men and their mums are very close. Like, even if they're not close, there's like there's a bond there, you know. And yeah, a lot of them have cried and just been like, she doesn't have an identity outside of being my mum. I've never, you know, they've never thought of her like that and stuff. And it was just, it's been really moving. And I'm trying to like sort of comfort them, but at the same time being like, that's the whole reason I wrote that song, was for my son.
I couldn't see. I'm almost going to leave. I'm almost going to go now. I'm going to go over the edge. Yeah. Are you? I mean, this record's going to save people's lives. I mean, people are going to reach out to you with such sincere messages of connection and thanks and hope. It is so musical. Again, I just wanted to make sure people knew. If you want to step down from the vocals and the lyrics, you'll never step down from the vocals. But if you just want to listen to the vocals and leave the lyrics for a minute, it's just exquisite music. And then you go, okay, I want to climb back into the lyrics, and you just get really knocked out by the lyrics in there. So I want to make sure people understand this is a proper Adele album in the sense that it's got these great chord changes, this great orchestration, great engineering. And I love the moments where certain aspects of each song are incredibly composed, but then there's another element that's raw. Did you purposefully make sure that it didn't go so far into everything being composed? Like, I believe the first track is it's Rhodes and it's orchestra, and your vocals sort of raw. It sort of moves around a little bit. Do you keep that in mind as you're making a song?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I definitely learned that while I was sort of doing 21, is that nothing beats a demo. So all leads on my albums are always the first vocal.
These are all the first vocal?
Always. They were as well on the last album, yeah. Because, you know, and like, I'm always a bit sharp and I'm always a bit flat, but in those, and I keep it on my album when I am, because it's my demo and I'm singing it right there, right then, in how I feel as I've just written that lyric. And like, yeah, you can like perfect a note, but you can't perfect emotion.
No.
Like, you know, you can't bring it, you can't reenact it, you can't recreate it.
No.
So my vocals always stay the same, and then, you know, I'll redo a BV, or I'll add more BVs or take them away, and then, you know, the music gets built up after. You know, when I'm writing, it literally is just me and a guitar or me and a piano, and then we build on top of it unless we do it live. But I never sing live with the band because I've already done my demo. So
that's mind-blowing. And also, you are sharp and flat to the same degree, if not even less than, the greatest singers of all time. They all move around. That's what gives a vocal life. As soon as I hear someone hold a note and I see the flat line, I disengage from it. So they're always supposed to. That's speaking. Speaking always moves and shakes, and I didn't hear a single thing out of place. I just hear more emotion when I hear something.
Absolutely same.
I emotion.
I agree.
Are we going on tour with the record?
I can't tour just because of COVID. There's no availability, John. It's
I know. But are we going to eventually tour?
This album, well, no, probably not, because I'd love to. I was actually desperate to tour, which for me is wild because I don't like touring. But like, you know, but in COVID, and also like Angelo really enjoyed the last tour. Like, he came everywhere and he loved it and stuff like that. And he's you know, every time I've gone to the studio when I was making this, I've got to go work. He's like, why aren't I coming? Where are we going? What are you doing? Like, you know, so I did really actually want to. And I got into the swing of it last time, like, you know, and obviously I got up to stadiums and stuff like that, which it you without sounding spoiled, it's easier because it's
right.
less shows.
Get them all in one.
You reach more people. Yep. Like you get to stay in places because it's impossible to put down and put up and put down the shows, the stage. But yeah, I don't think it doesn't sit right with me putting an album out like this year and then touring it in 2023.
Right. So then is the implication here that this record is designed to be sort of a record that lives kind of ethereally? It's not toured because by the time you go on a proper tour, you'll have another album?
Well, I mean, that would probably be about 8 years, really, wouldn't it?
Well, wait a minute. You don't think that because of the subject matter of this record and that it does end on this sort of to be continued, is it a little easier to want to go in and write now because a record like this does set you up for all bops? I mean, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I definitely really want to start exercising my writing muscle more. I feel like I don't do anything for in that break that I take.
I don't either.
Normally it takes me a good year to make a record, writing it and then finishing it and so that. But the other 5 years, I'm literally not even listening to music most of the time. But I really want to try and just for 6 months, try at least pick up the bloody guitar every day and just have a little fiddle around. I do think that would be good for me, and good for for my creativity and my craft and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if it's easier to make a record like this because you haven't thought about how do we recreate it live on stage. You don't have to worry about it. Even though I think a lot of these songs would be killer on.
We're definitely working our asses off to try and do something. It's just hard to do something exactly how you would normally do it.
Okay, so you're still going to go play each and do you think all of these songs will eventually be played live in the next year, regardless of it being a tour?
Yes, as much as we can. Yes.
I mean, to me, as a writer, as a performer, I kind of see each album as a song on the big record of your career. And this is like track 4 of the big 12-song album that is your entire career, although I'm sure you'll go beyond 12. And I think you're going to have so much fun. I mean, have you thought yet about rolling in the deep, bop into Strangers by Nature, bop into Hello, bop into, have you thought about weaving them together yet?
No, not yet. I do have to get onto that though. But no, I haven't actually. But also, it's just I'm sort of toying with ideas of how I would want to do it. If I can do it, exactly how I want to and stuff like that. It's 4 very different moments of my life. Mm-hmm. When I was writing this, I wasn't really coherent with anything, to be honest with you, because I was sort of in my own bloody head. Mm-hmm. But when I listened to it, and obviously I can listen to it from a very safe place now, I'm like, the drama boy of 21. I thought I was going through hell with 21. It was obviously my most successful album and stuff. And I get it, it is a great record and I'm so pleased that people love it. But I'm like, she must have been mad, that 21-year-old version of me, to be able to write a record like that from a boyfriend.
Well, isn't it crazy that some of the best music in the world was written by people 21, 22,
it's
23?
Incredible.
Your frontal lobe isn't even done developing and you're writing yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and then as I get older, and as we get older, we sort of write less but deeper. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's not less as in each song is less, but you said, it takes 5 years. But everything on this record almost seems not to want to go anywhere else but deep, as if it would be inauthentic if you didn't go all the way down,
Yeah.
And I just think there are going to be people pulling their cars to the side of the road when this record comes out because they can't see out their eyes. I mean, it's brutal, and then it's beautiful at the same time.
I just want to say why I really wanted to put this body of work out, because when I was writing it, I didn't necessarily be like, I'm definitely putting this out. It was obviously just a process that I had to go through, writing and stuff like that. But once I'd come out the other side of it all and I got to listen to it, it was just, you mentioned it kind of a little bit at the beginning of the interview of how someone can be so vulnerable in 2021, is I want to encourage people to do that, and it's so easy for us to not do that, including myself at times. But I'm the happiest I've ever been. And when I was going through it, I thought I would never find my joy again and that I would never feel like me again. And I'd never be motivated to laugh and really feel everything. And it took a lot, takes a lot, you know, to really go there for yourself. But, you know, in the end, it is just you. It is just us on our own. And if we don't do it, we're not useful to everyone that loves us.
And this album,
that's why I wanted to really put it out.
This album is going to be so useful to so many people. And there are many people who feel now like you did a year and a half or 2 years ago, that this album is going to reach them right through the rib cage, right around their heart, whether they wanted it or not at that moment. And this album is really going to be there for a lot of people in a time where I think we're all aware so many people are in that same place. And I can't wait to both hear the record in the world and also experience people's reaction of great pleasure and satisfaction with the record, and just great reliance on it being like what I think is going to be medicine for people. So I'm so excited for you to watch this happen.
Oh, thank you. And also, thank you, John, you've been so nice to me from the very beginning of my career. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You're so lovely.
You are lovely, and thank you for your trust in this interview, too.
Thank you. Well, happy holidays, and I'll see you around.
I will see you on campus. I just have one other question.
Okay.
Adele.
Yes.
Should I get married?
Oh, yes, you should get married. Yes, I think it is a really incredible thing, marriage. And I know that some people probably think that I wouldn't think that, you know, and like I gave up on it. But yes, I think you should. I can't really say why, but like, I'm definitely open to marriage again. I definitely am. And the feeling I had in being married was the safest feeling I've ever had in my life. And, you know, sadly it didn't work out. But I miss being married.
Aw. I'm going to get myself married.
You should.
One of these days.
You know something that's crazy? I mean, they'll all go mad for this. They might not let you keep it. Do you remember when I saw you at Tower Bar?
Yeah.
That was my first date with Rich.
Oh, that's why we didn't go out to dinner after that.
Exactly. And it was though, when we were supposed to meet up, you and me to talk about
We were supposed to meet
music.
up at San Vicente.
No, I know. And I was at Rich's house.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's the best reason. That's the best reason to get a plan canceled by Adele. Is that she's met a deep, true love. I've never been happier to not be able to follow through.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? The three of us will go out to dinner one night.
Yeah, that would be lovely. We'll come to your wedding.
Awesome.